Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Wacky and Weird Wednesday, the day where we cover the wacky and weird news that's going on out there, from politicians being weird to just animals doing weird things, and of course, humanity being as wacky as it can possibly get. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we've started and we haven't had any caffeine. Let's drowsily weird how wacky the world can be. Today on Before Coffee, German police investigate AfD for sending out deportation ticket, and no trousers, no problem. London underground users bare their legs for official no trousers tube ride.
Russia blows up its own North Korea-made surface-to-air missile in Kursk friendly fire.
French cocaine use nearly doubles over 1 year. Let's talk about the 10% of households who own more than half of Dutch wealth.
Also, atmospheric lead pollution caused widespread cognitive decline in the Roman Empire, and brightly colored creature kept in pet aquariums globally is actually discovered as a new species.
And in culture news, viral scam that duped French woman faces cyberbullying additionally.
And it's National Hat Day, so
yeah,
get out your
hats.
hat and slap it on your head. It is January 15th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
Get your hats on, guys. I'm gonna wear my hat just because I haven't combed my hair yet. Really, that's the true power of hats. You can just hide your messy hair and be like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna look like today. Just a hat. With our first story here, we're gonna talk about the wacky AfD, who is totally not the Nazi party, doing things that are not very nice. Wow, surprise! This is from Tamsin Paternoster on Euronews. The far-right Alternative for German party has been embroiled in a controversy, yet again, for the 15th time, after distributing campaign flyers that resemble deportation tickets in the city of Karlsruhe. I don't know German. Police have launched an investigation into the local branch of the far-right AfD party in the city over campaign posters styled as deportation tickets, sparked controversy in the run-up to the country's election on the 23rd of February. The flyers, which are based on airplane tickets, are being investigated on suspicion of inciting racial hatred, according to criminal police force in the city. They show an airline ticket with AfD's logo on it, with manipulated flight details reading Departure, Germany, Destination, Safe Country of Origin. On the flyers, AfD is entered as the departure gate, and two sentences read, "Only re-immigration can save Germany, and it's a nice home too." The flyers have sparked complaints from the public as well as members of the left party, who threatened to report the AfD district branch for inciting hatred. The left argued that the flyers were purposely distributed in mailboxes of people with a migration background, were openly xenophobic, and aimed at stoking division and hatred between different groups. The AfD's Baden-Württemberg state branch insisted that the flyers were aimed at all eligible voters, with large parts simply based in Karlsruhe, according to the press agency DPA. It said a template of the poster would be passed. A template of the poster. I'm lost myself because a freaking video opened while I was reading. God, the Euronews used to be great, and now they have a video playing all the time while I'm trying to read an article.
I think I gotta reboot my computer. All the audio signals getting mixed up.
Yeah, is it? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. It said a template of the poster would be passed on to the party's other local branches. Despite this, a police spokesman said that the flyers are currently under investigation. German media pointed out the campaign's similarity to one pushed by the National Democratic Party of Germany, NPD, which has since been renamed the Heimat in 2013. At the time, the right-wing extremist party distributed forged flight tickets reading "From Germany, Destination Home," in a bid to discourage candidates from an immigrant background from standing for parliament. The campaign sparked tense controversy and was labeled xenophobic propaganda by analysts. The NPD has since been barred from receiving state funding and tax breaks usually granted to Germany's political parties after days of protests against the far right. AfD politician Mark Bernhardt rejected any association with the NPD, telling local media, "We categorically reject any connection with an action by the NPD that took place more than a decade ago, which is completely unknown to us." Yeah, sure it is, buddy. I'm sure you don't have a bunch of people in a room making decisions on what to do for your campaign, and they totally didn't bring up, hey, remember what NPD did 10 years ago? The campaign, however, seems to be in a lockstep with the AfD's policies on immigration, with the party's chancellor candidate, Alice Weidel, openly embracing the term reimmigration at the party's conference in the eastern town of Riesa over the weekend. Reimmigration is a vague strategy widely understood to mean the mass deportation of people with a migrant background. However, reports differ on whether it would be including foreigners who have legal residency rights. Guido's move is a U-turn from just a year ago when she sought to distance herself from the term, which sparked national protests when it emerged a senior AfD party member had met with controversial Austrian far-right activist Martin Sellner to discuss re-immigrating foreigners with residency rights and non-assimilated citizens. What's assimilation mean? I don't know, but I'm sure the racists are the ones who are going to define it. Hey, you don't cut your bread at the store. You're not really German. Kick them out. The concept also been prompted by Austria's hard-right politician Herbert Kickl, who has recently been invited to lead coalition talks after coming first in general elections. The latest INSA poll puts the AfD in second place with a 22% of national vote. Other parties, including the center-right Christian Democratic Union, which is polling first, have ruled out working with them, meaning they are unlikely to make it into government bar a political earthquake in the country. Yeah, maybe if they just take it over with propaganda. Because, immigrants are definitely the worst thing to ever happen to anybody.
Yeah, Germans immigrate all the time. Germans have been immigrating for centuries, and they're still doing it.
It's not economics. It's not, the fact that there's a top 1% that owns the entire GDPA or whatever, GDP of your country. No, that's not the problem. It's the immigrants. They're the problem.
Right. It's the people at the bottom.
Yeah, they are controlling it all because there's more of them. Anyways, in some not so angering news, do you hate wearing pants? Well, good luck. You can, though I think it may have already happened. Yeah, I think it already happened. But you can put on your calendar for next year for the No Trouser Tube Ride. That's right. It's not a new tradition, and the only goal is whimsy. Hundreds of Londoners headed down the underground last Sunday, stripped down to their underwear. Sunday was the 13th, I believe, right? The 13th of, why am I looking on the calendar there when I can
days ago?
12th, the 12th, yeah. So on the 12th, mark down your calendars for next year, the No Trousers Tube Ride was official, an annual event with no point other than injecting a little levity into the blue midwinter. No deep meaning, no bigger motive, the only goal is whimsy, if only for one afternoon. There is so much bad, so much not fun going on, said ringleader David Selkirk, a 40-year-old personal trainer. It's nice to do something just for the sake of it. Selfies were taken, grins were exchanged, tourists looked puzzled. The first stunt in the Spain was held in New York in 2002, the brainchild of the local comedian Charlie Todd. His idea was this: wouldn't it be funny if someone walked onto the subway train in the middle of winter wearing hat, gloves, scarf, everything, but trousers, or pants as they call them stateside? It would be unusual in New York, although you can see anything on our subway system. But what would really be funny if it's the next stop a couple minutes later when the doors open and additional persons got on, not wearing trousers as well, Todd told the BBC, and they act like they don't know each other, and they act like it's no big deal and they just forgot their trousers. The idea took off, and No Pants Day has been held all over, in Berlin, Prague, Jerusalem, Warsaw, and Washington, D.C., among other cities. London hosted its first big reveal in 2009. So that's the idea of no trousers on the tube, and I guess we should look up where else it happens so that you can also celebrate. It must happen in Amsterdam.
I missed out.
Sorry?
Said I missed out on no pants day or
Yeah.
no trousers day.
Well, I don't wear pants on Sundays anyway, so I guess I participated in some ways.
You don't get on the train though.
All right. Oh, I can't find any idea of when no trousers is on other days. On the metro, maybe. I don't know if it's in any other days.
No.
But at least was on last Sunday in London. So I guess they should have shared like their newsletter that they sent out, being like, guys living here, take your pants off. And then you could participate. But yeah, next time. And that's it for my stories. On to yours.
Okay, we're going to go to Russian invasion of Ukraine again. This is from Newsweek.com. Isabel Van Bruggen. Russia reportedly blew up one of its own surface-to-air missiles, or SAM systems, believed to have been shipped to Moscow by Pyongyang in the border region of Kursk, where a fresh incursion by Ukraine is underway. Ooh, fresh incursion. Who doesn't like fresh incursion? Much better than the stale stuff. Newsweek reached out to the Kremlin for comment via email on Monday. Russian military bloggers on Telegram initially said Russian troops had destroyed a system supplied to Ukraine by the West, but analysis by Alexander Kovalenko, a prominent Ukrainian military and political analyst, found that Russia destroyed the SAM in a case of friendly fire, the Ukrainian Independent Information Agency first reported. It paints a picture of North Korea's support for Russia in the war. Pyongyang is reported to have supplied Russia with short-range nuclear-capable ballistic missiles, self-propelled guns, and even troops for use in the ongoing conflict. Kovalenko said the transfer of the destroyed SAM was not reported by Western or South Korean intelligence. This suggests that there are logistics supply chains between North Korea and Russia that are not tracked by either Western or South Korean intelligence, which is extremely, extremely alarming, he said. Kovalenko, a Ukrainian military and political analyst with over 100,000 subscribers on Telegram, said a Russian drone operator mistakenly struck a North Korean-made SAM in the Kursk region, believing he was targeting a Western one. Ukrainian outlet Militarny said analysis of battlefield footage and photos showed that the North Korean system struck by Russian forces has a similar silhouette and shape to Western ones used by Ukrainian troops in the region. Ukraine has said for months that North Korea was supplying Russia with equipment and troops for the war. In November, Ukraine's defense intelligence reported that Moscow had received more than 100 KN-23 and KN-24 short-range nuclear-capable ballistic missiles. The aggressor state of Russia has received more than 100 such missiles from the DPRK. The enemy first used these weapons in the war against Ukraine at the end of 23, said the defense intelligence of Ukraine. Along with the missiles, Pyongyang then sent its military specialists to Russia to service the launchers and participate in war crimes against Ukraine. Ukrainian military and political analyst Alexander Kovalenko on Telegram. So Russia has received North Korea air defense for use. This suggests that Russia has a problem with air defense, although we already know about this. The Russian occupation forces lack air defense systems, and now this one of the most catastrophic deficient categories. Russia asked North Korea for exactly what it lacks most, and these supplies reflect the difficulty of replenishing losses. First shells, a shell famine, then meat, a shortage of personnel, then artillery, ballistics, and now air defense. These are all these blog posts. South Korea, Ukraine, and the United States have estimated that Russia has deployed upward of 10,000 of its troops to reinforce Russian forces. I think you mean Korean forces? I'm not even sure what that means, that sentence. Given the close ties, Pyongyang's support for Russia in the war is likely to continue. The two nations signed a multi-defense treaty last year, which states that they aid each other should they come under armed attack. Okay, so there's your little silly news about Russia blowing up their own air defense and then claiming, oh yeah, it was a big major hit, and putting it on the internet, and then the internet goes, hey, that looks like a Korean one. And the internet was right.
Of course.
Back to you.
Globally shit posting. That's all Russia can really do is globally shit post. Hey guys, we're totally the victims. We're being bullied. Look at them. They bullied us.
Once you put a video up, people can analyze the video. Can't talk yet. Back to you.
Maybe some people are bullied. Deserve to be bullied. No? Just an idea. Okay, let's talk about wealth disparity. I know, the wacky and weirdness of, hey, this person or these 10 people own 50% of all wealth. Or whatever, 10% of households. That could be way more than 10 people, but that's just the wackiness of it. Wealth inequality in the Netherlands has declined in recent years, but the latest figures suggest that this trend is not going to continue. This is on the NRC by Boris Bouwman and Ruben Stift. The 10% of the wealthiest households in the Netherlands owned 56% of total wealth in the Netherlands in 2023. This was reported by the Central Bureau of Statistics, CBS, on this morning, the 15th of January. Of the total 2.6 trillion, or 2,600 billion euros in wealth in the Netherlands, 1.5 trillion euros was in the hands of the richest 10%. That's a lot of money. The distribution is the same as in 2022, bringing a downward trend in the wealth inequality to a halt for the first time in 7 years. In 2015, the richest 10% owned 70% of the total wealth. The bottom 90% received a larger share of total wealth, mainly because homes became more valuable. The prices of cheaper homes are rising relatively faster than those of more expensive homes, which reduces inequality. For most Dutch people, their home is still the most important asset. Almost 6 out of 10,000 owned homes in 2023. Wealthier households often had a stock portfolio. For the richest 1%, stocks even accounted for an average of 54% of their assets. Meanwhile, the poorest group consists mainly of employees, 69%. Their wealth is even negative because their debts are greater than their assets. In total, the poorest 10% have a negative wealth of 38 billion euros. But which households are the wealthiest after adding up real estate, cash, and savings? In 2023, the richest 10% consisted mainly of pensioners. Surprise! Followed by employees at 33%. The pensioners were 40%. And finally, the self-employed at 27%. Dutch people who want to count themselves among the group of wealthy people had to have at least 680,000 euros in assets in 2023. That's assets. So not what's in your bank account, but you own a house, you own a car, you have some stocks. All of that equals a little over $500,000. As a member of the bottom 90%, however, you have little chance of joining the community of the very richest. Last August, the Central Planning Bureau concluded after research that Dutch people who are the wealthiest often remain so. Yep, the rich only get richer, as the saying goes. 2/3 of the households that belong to the 10% richest Dutch people, more than 15 years ago, were still part of that group in 2022. But how did the people who are new there get there? I guess that's the question. They finally were able to buy a house and their assets went up. Maybe that's what happened, I'm not sure. But there's your news. It's everywhere. Not just in the US or Germany or wherever else I was talking about. It's also in the Netherlands. People with their super yachts and their stocks. And I even heard a story from my landlady where she was talking about how her friend, who's 80, has a lot of money in stocks. And she's like, why don't you just give those stocks to your children? And then they go, well, I'm the one who invested in the stocks. Like, you're going to be dead in 5 years. What is that money going to do for you then? Nothing. So your children or even your grandchildren, right? They need money now. They need a house now. They need, to buy a car now, not later. Why are you just saving it in stocks for when you're going to die at any moment, really drop dead any moment? Very weird. But that is exactly how the rich keep getting richer. You get some stuff, you get an asset, you use it, make a stock portfolio, and you just keep on growing. And you keep on growing. And that's really, honestly, that's the only way to get rich these days. But you have to get your foot in the door first. And it's a bit hard, especially in the Netherlands, to get a house, for example. That's very difficult. So if you have, like the house I'm living in now, the only reason they have it is because they moved into it in the 80s or the early 90s. So house is way cheaper in the Netherlands back then, and they've lived in that house since. So this house has been sitting here with people living in it since the 90s, and it's only gone up in price because it's in a good area. You know, it's not in a terrible neighborhood. So, anyways, from that story, let's talk about cocaine. That's right. People love being rich. Who rich love doing drugs, and the French are definitely getting high. That's right. Cocaine use in France has nearly doubled, according to France 24, this article I'm reading, with 1.1 million people having taken the illicit drug at least once in 2023, according to a study published today. By comparison, the French Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction, OFDT, earlier estimated annual cocaine consumption in the country at 600,000 users when it released its previous report in 2022. So there's been a 2-year difference between the study, and it's doubled, almost doubled, right? 1.1, 600,000 to 1.1 mil. France now ranks 7th in Europe in terms of cocaine consumption. Wow, congratulations. A number of factors are behind the explosive consumption growth, including record levels of global cocaine production and the drug's changing image. Changing image, hasn't it always been like the party drug? Like, what do you mean changing image? According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia, the world's 3 biggest cocaine cultivators, produced 2,700 tons of the drug in 2022, compared with the 1,134 tons in 2010. Another factor behind the growing use is the evolution of working conditions, with people using cocaine to cope with intense workloads, for example in the catering industry, or tough working conditions in the fishing industry. Ivana Obravik, deputy director of the OFDT, told AFP. Finally, experts point to the diversification of forms of consumption. The use of crack, a solid form of cocaine, is spreading, and cocaine is now increasingly perceived as less dangerous, as opposed to 20 years ago, said Obravik. A drug that stimulates the central nervous system, cocaine is made from the leaves of a coca plant in South America. While the prices have remained virtually unchanged, a gram of cocaine cost 66 euros in 2023 compared to 60 euros in 2011. Well, that's nice. At least inflation hasn't hit the cocaine market too badly. The purity of cocaine is on the rise, with 73% in 2023 compared to 40. Wow. They've gone from 46% purity to 73. And the price has only gone up 6 euros? That's crazy. Wow.
Wow.
No wonder. That's what a deal for people who like doing cocaine. Authorities have said drug crime is crippling daily life in France, with Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau vowing to intensify the fight against drug-related crime. How about you legalize cocaine and then start taxing it? I think, and then you can become the cocaine capital of the world. And then you can demystify it, I guess, since it's so safe now with its 76% purity. In 2023, French authorities seized
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, exactly. Seized 23.5 tons of cocaine compared with the 4.1 tons in 2010. This matches numbers we talked about last year, with Rotterdam and Antwerp also having a lot of cocaine, a lot of drugs being seized there, and that's also increased double, triple-fold, I think. In the first 11 months of 2024, nearly 47 tons of cocaine were seized by the authorities. So, it's the drug arms race is happening. Everyone, we're in that post-capitalist world where the rich are richer, and the only thing we can do is do drugs to feel better about our lives. Yay!
I'm rich. Yay, I'm rich. Wait, I'm really not rich, but I'm high on cocaine, so that's a great substitute. Well then.
That's my story.
There's your story. I was gathering a video. I was listening. And we're going to talk about lead poisoning. Lead poisoning, kind of a serious deal.
Yeah, that is. We talked about it with
for
the
years.
The what do you call them?
What's that?
Performance drugs, right? The supplements, right? There's lead in that.
Yeah, we did the lead in protein powders yesterday.
Yeah.
But did you know that lead people didn't even know lead. Now, this is a recent phenomenon, by the way. We didn't know lead was poison until the 1960s because although the petroleum industry knew it was, they were putting it in gasoline, so they didn't want us to know. And eventually, it was taken out of the gasoline in the 1970s after they got shamed into admitting it. That, yeah, lead is actually poison. So we only know lead has been poisonous during my lifetime, right?
Yeah.
So before then, we were using it in everything. Dishes, paint, everything.
And you're still finding it sometimes in places that you didn't expect.
That's right. It's an additive in your protein powder. But did you know it may have cost the Roman Empire, basically their empire? That's right. Atmospheric lead pollution caused widespread cognitive decline in Roman era Europe, the study finds. Researchers have examined 3 ice core records to identify lead pollution levels at the Arctic between 50 BCE and through 60 CE. Lead isotopes allowed the authors to identify. This is from Sci News, by the way, their news staff. Lead isotopes allowed the authors to identify mining and smelting operations throughout Europe as a likely source of pollution during this period. Advanced computer modeling of atmospheric movement then produced maps of atmospheric lead pollution levels across Europe. Combined with research linking lead exposure to cognitive decline, the scientists also identified a 2.5 to 3-point reduction in intelligence quotient throughout the Roman Empire. How did they do that? That's crazy. This is the first study to take pollution record from ice and ice core and invert it to get atmospheric concentrations of pollution and then assess human impacts, said Dr. Joel McConnell, a researcher at the Desert Research Institute. The idea that we can do this for 2,000 years ago is pretty novel and exciting. Our research changed our understanding of the Roman era by finding precise linkages between the lead pollution records and historical events such as population declines associated with periodic plagues and pandemics. Periodic plagues and pandemics are popping our peas today, said Andrew Wilson, a historian at the University of Oxford. Ancient lead pollution stemmed largely from silver mining, whereby the lead-rich mineral galena was melted down to extract silver. For every ounce of silver obtained, this process produced thousands of ounces of lead, much of which was released into the atmosphere. In adults, high levels of lead exposure are linked to infertility, anemia, memory loss, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and reduced immune response, among other things. In children, even low levels of exposure have been connected to reduced IQ, concentration challenges, and reduced academic success. And people probably just go a little demented a little bit sooner than they would have.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Beats through your brain like a...
losing touch with reality. While the U.S. CDC considers a blood lead level of 3.5 Ug per DL, the point for medical intervention for children, there is no level for lead exposure without risk. Lead is known to have a wide range of human health impacts, but we can choose to focus on cognitive decline because it's something we can put a number on, said Nathan Chelman, researcher at the Desert Research Institute. An IQ reduction of 2 to 3 points doesn't sound like much, but when you apply that to essentially the entire European population, it's kind of a big deal. Everybody got stupider. In the study, the team found that atmospheric lead pollution began during the Iron Age and reached a peak during the late 2nd century BCE at the height of the Roman Republic. It then declined sharply during the 1st century BCE during the crisis of the Roman Republic, before increasing around 15 BCE following the rise of the Roman Empire. Lead pollution remained high until the Antonine Plague from 165 to 180 CE, which severely affected the Roman Empire. It wasn't until the High Middle Ages in the early 2nd millennium that it wasn't until the High Middle Ages in the early 2nd millennium, which is CE, which confuses me. I say AD. They say CE. I've never used that term before in my life, so I'm not
Well,
even
welcome
sure
to
what
the
it
modern
means.
world. They've moved to CE for a
That's what
while
I'm just
now,
saying.
at
They
least
start
20
changing
years.
these terms in midlife for me. Almost my life's almost over. I got to start saying things different. Oh, okay. Thanks,
Welcome
guys.
to life.
Anyway, there's your story on lead poisoning and destroying the Roman Empire slowly but surely. Also, we're in the news. This is
Explains
from
why they like the
Fizz.org.
Colosseum so much.
Yeah, they were smelting lead. I mean, they didn't know they were using it to refine silver.
Yeah.
Producing far more lead than they did silver. The Fizz.org website, Aspen Flugelheft, I think that's how you pronounce it. Brightly colored creature kept in pet aquariums globally discovered as a new species. That's crazy. Far from its home in Indonesia, a brightly colored creature moved around in aquariums. Scientists peered into the tank, studying their pet-turned specimen, and discovered it was a new species. Researchers in the Czech Republic purchased a shipment of Indonesian crayfish from a leading pet wholesaler in March 23, according to a study published January 9th in the Journal of Zootaxa. Crayfish are also known as crawfish or crawdads. I like calling them crawfish. It's easier to say than crayfish, I think. I don't know why. Looking through the aquarium pets, the team found several brightly colored and familiar-looking crayfish, the study said. These animals had been some of the first freshwater crayfish from New Guinea to be exported as aquarium pets over 21 years ago. Ever since, the hazy blue and purple crayfish have become popular pets in Europe, the United States, Japan, and Indonesia. Pet traders sold the crayfish under a variety of names, but scientists have never formally classified them until now. Researchers studied 6 of these crayfish, analyzed their DNA, and quickly realized they discovered a new species, a Cherax pulverulentus, or the dusty crayfish. Dusty crawfish are moderately sized, reaching over 2 inches in length, the study said. They have smooth bodies, claws, and large eyes. The new species has 2 color forms, researchers said. The purple form have turquoise bodies dotted with purple spots. Their joints and tails have paler white blue. Blue form crayfish have a darker hue, varying from dark blue to almost blackish blue, other photos show. Their joints and tails are contrasting orange. Researchers said they named the new species after the Latin term pulverulentus, meaning covered with dust, because of its many tiny dot-like spots. Dusty crayfish are burrowing animals living in freshwater streams of the Indonesian part of New Guinea, an island north of Australia. That also includes mainland Papua New Guinea, the study said. Little else is known about how the new species live in the wild. During their surveys, researchers found 1 dusty crayfish in a thermal spring in Hungary, a probable consequence of aquarium dumping. Aquarium dumping. You just dump your aquarium in the river. What? We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Researchers recommended the future detailed surveys of Indonesia and New Guinea to improve the knowledge of the new species distribution. I want to go study crayfish. They also noted that the formal scientific description of new species are crucial for the proper management of pet-traded crayfish in their body proportions and other subtle physical features. The study said DNA analysis found the new species had at least 2% genetic divergence from other related species. So there's your zoology news. As people have had these in their aquarium for years and years and years and years and years, and didn't realize that zoologists had not actually properly named it yet. So
a new crayfish.
It's not like it's a new species. It may have been around for millennia, for all we know. We just discovered that, hey, it's got its own unique DNA. Anyway, there's your story. More weirdness. Back to you.
All right. Yeah, I saw this interesting...
Oh, and I sent you a video.
Oh, okay. I saw this interesting story about this guy who put a crayfish in a tank to get eaten by another fish, but it survived for a week without being eaten. He checked on it, and it actually had eggs. So it gave birth in another tank, shed its skin, and became blue. So it changed from red to blue.
It's probably one of those. Might be one of those.
It's 1 out of 300 chance for a crayfish when it sheds its skin to regrow a new shell to be blue on the other side.
Cool.
So, pretty crazy. I guess I can also go on the wacky news. Right, we talked about this, I don't know, probably back in November or something, where a bunch of French women were duped by an AI Brad Pitt who stole a lot of money. And, well, the story doesn't end there because people decided to cyberbully this woman as if she's not having enough of a hard time. So this is the wacky and weird world of people just leaving things alone. They just can't. It's like, let's make fun of her. She's French. She spent almost $1 million dating Brad Pitt, who she thought was Brad Pitt. That's hilarious. Let's make fun of her. The victim has faced an onslaught of online harassment, revealing quite to what extent empathy and human decency is in short supply when it comes to people falling for AI scams. Well, you couldn't tell that was AI? I mean, if you see these pictures, right, at a glance, without knowing that the AI, you probably would also think, that's Brad Pitt. An AI-generated con featuring Brad Pitt is causing quite the stir in France. A French interior designer known as Anne was scammed out of 830,000 euros after she was duped into thinking that she was in a relationship with the Hollywood actor and that he needed money for cancer treatment. Why Brad Pitt would need money, I don't know. I guess he's going through a divorce, so maybe she took all the money. The 53-year-old story was broadcast on the French TV show.
He's been divorced for years, I believe.
No, they finally finalized it, actually, last year.
Oh, okay.
It's been 8 years, an 8-year divorce. It's been taking a while.
All those kids they adopted.
Yeah, and they were together for a long time, so a lot of that stuff can really, compound. I think the argument they had against Angelina Jolie had is there was a lot of things they bought together, and they had to figure out how to, separate them, or who gets what and what gets who, because they bought a lot of things together under their marriage. Anyways, on the French TV show Sept à What on TF1, where she disclosed being scammed by individuals pretending to be Brad Pitt. They used fake social media and artificial intelligence image creating technology to craft an elaborate and heartbreaking swindle. In the episode, Anne shared how she received a message from someone purporting to be Jane Etta Pitt, the actor's mother, telling her she was exactly the woman her son needed. Soon afterwards, she started to receive messages from what she didn't know was an AI imitation of Brad Pitt, or a deep fake. Anne was going through a divorce with a millionaire and entrepreneur at the time, and over the course of a year, her lover would send declarations of love and even ask her to marry him. At first, I said to myself that it was fake. This is ridiculous, Anne explained. But I am not used to social media, and I didn't really understand what was happening to me. There are few men who write to you like that, she told French media. I loved the man I was talking to. He knew how to talk to women, and it was very well put together. Maybe it was a woman who was talking to her. That would help too. Once the link of trust was established, then came requests for money, as the scammer began to send luxury goods to Anne as gifts. However, she was told she had to take care of the customs bill, which for one handbag reportedly was 9,000 euros. When Anne's daughter warned her mother that she was being conned, she said, "You'll see when he's here in person. Then you'll say sorry." Eventually, AI photos were sent showing Brad Pitt in hospital with kidney cancer. He needed money for treatment, with the excuse being that Pitt's real-life ex-wife Angelina Jolie had frozen his bank accounts. Despite Anne's doubt, she was reassured by the fake star's doctor, who emailed her explaining Pitt was fighting to survive. I don't think a doctor would ever send some random stranger a mail saying, "Send money now!" Doctors don't care about that. That's the insurance company who cares about that. It was then that Anne transferred around 800,000 euros to an account in Turkey. She said, "It cost me to do it, but I thought I might be saving a man's life." It was only when Hollywood star was pictured in the media last summer with his current partner, Ines de Ramon, that Anne realized she had fallen for an elaborate scam. I asked myself why they chose me to do such harm like this, she told TF1. I've never harmed anyone. These people deserve hell. Since the Sept Atwe episode aired on the 12th of January, Anne's story has gone viral. However, instead of celebrating somebody brave enough to speak out and expose her vulnerabilities of igniting debates on how to further regulate AI to better avoid these scams, the shameful response has been a wave of cyberbullying towards Anne. Good old France! Why be nice when you can be cruel? like, this is just a stereotype, I know, but French people are not very nice. Stereotypically, they're not nice people. She was targeted on social media as well as with satirical sketch on one of France's biggest radio shows. Football team Toulouse FC, who played in France's top division, poked fun at her on Twitter. Hi Anne, Brad told us he'd been at the stadium on Wednesday for TFCL AVAL. What about you? We've included the link to buy your ticket. See you on Wednesday. Many social media users rightly considered the post indecent, which led the football team to delete the post and apologize. We understand that our tweet may have been misinterpreted. We sincerely apologize. We deeply regret in our comments conveyed a negative message. Thank you for your feedback on this error. We promise to be more careful and discerning in the future. They're not the only ones jumping on bullying bandwagon, however, as Netflix France started promoting 4 films to see with Brad Pitt, really, for free. Stay classy, Netflix. Considering the amount of scrutiny, TF1 journalist Harry Brazelmack took to Twitter to announce that the story has resulted in a wave of harassment against the witness, leading the network to withdraw the broadcast from its platforms and replay services. Police are now investigating the con that has left Anne penniless and hospitalized with depression. Yeah, I'd be pretty depressed too, losing $800K to a scammer.
Yeah.
What did you say? Sorry?
Mm-hmm. I said, way to go, Netflix.
Yeah.
Charles.
Just, well, the good thing is most of those people are making fun of her were, being run by a terrible...
idiots.
Yeah, just being run by terrible social media managers, it looks like. You know what's in right now? How can we attract crowds to our event? What's in... Oh, yeah, that woman who got scammed by Brad Pitt. Haha, we can do that to get some social media clout. Who cares about the actual woman?
They should capitalize on the Los Angeles fires by just showing endless fire movies.
Yeah, hilarious. Great movies to escape to while you're escaping a fire. Hilarious.
Right. Yeah.
But that's my story.
Okie dokie.
On the state
People being shitty. People being shitty is not really news, but we're going to call out the individual cases of it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
People being shitty. Hey, people are shitty. What a shock.
I mean, the wackiness, like I said, it's very easy to get scammed, especially if you're lonely, you're going through a divorce. There's a lot of reasons. How they picked her out is crazy.
Are you poor?
She must have posted something on public social media somewhere, and then somebody, said, hey, this is the perfect victim for our scam. And that's where it started.
Yeah, you appeal to people's vanity, right? You act like you're actually interested in them, and you're not. That's a great way to scam people.
Easy.
Wow, you're really smart and beautiful. Really? Did anybody ever tell you how smart and beautiful you are? Well, no, they haven't, but thank you. Well, let me sit here and tell you that for about 10 days, and you'll believe anything I say after 10 days. On this day in history, 1842, Saint Mary MacKillop, who was the first Australian beatified by the Roman Catholic Church, and the first Australian to be recognized as one of his saints. Doesn't that mean the same thing? Anyway, she was born in this day in Melbourne. Sister Mary. 1844, the University of Notre Dame, founded in Indiana, or you call it in France, Notre Dame, founded in Indiana by the Congregation of the Holy Cross, was officially chartered. So happy anniversary to the University of Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Why they're always fighting, I have no idea, but they're always fighting. Must be an Irish thing, right? Anyway, 1870, the donkey appeared as a symbol of the Democratic Party in 1870 on the Thomas Nast cartoon. So the donkey was adopted by the Democrats as their symbol. The stubborn donkey will not move even if you push it. 1896, American photographer Matthew Brady, known for his portraits of politicians and images during the American Civil War. In fact, if you saw any pictures during the Civil War, battlefield pictures, Matthew Brady probably took it, or one of his associates probably took it. Anyway, Matthew Brady died alone in this day and virtually forgotten in a hospital charity ward in New York City. Well, he wasn't virtually forgotten because we're still talking about him. So there you go. You take it virtually forgotten out of there. He wasn't forgotten. 1909, American jazz drummer Gene Krupa was born. Happy birthday to Gene Krupa, 1909. 1919, 10 years later, Polish-born German revolutionary and agitator Rosa Luxemburg, co-founder of the German Communist Party, was arrested and murdered in Berlin for fomenting a communist uprising known as the Spartacus Revolt. So Germany up to their weirdness in 1919, post-war, because that's one of the wars they lost. In 1919, also on this day, this is a bizarre event and very fitting for Weird Wednesday. A storage tank collapsed in Boston, sending more than 2 million gallons of molasses flowing through the city's north end. The Great Molasses Flood, as it became known, caused extensive damage and killed 21 people. Let's see if Netflix has any response to that. Let's show films about molasses floods. Well, there is none. 1967, the first Super Bowl game was played. It wasn't called the Super Bowl, but it was between the Green Bay Packers, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Packers won by a score of 35-10. So happy, 57 years ago, the first Super Bowl. 58 years ago. 1974, the American television series Happy Days, a nostalgic comedy set during the 1950s and 60s, premiered on ABC. 2001, Wikipedia, a free internet-based encyclopedia that operates under an open-source management style, debuted. It was founded by Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger. So happy anniversary, 24 years of Wikipedia. Before that, to get our sort of accurate information, we had to just make it up off the top of our heads. You want sort of accurate information? Go to Wikipedia. I use it for a source, but only because I can use their sources as a source, correct? I tell you in college, don't use Wikipedia as a source, but that's wrong. You could use Wikipedia as a source and use their bibliography and find their sources and use that as a source. Very smart. 2009 on this day, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger landed a airplane in the Hudson River. That's right. U.S. Airways Flight 1549, piloted by Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger III, landed in the Hudson River after a plane flew with a flock of Canada geese. Shortly after takeoff, resulting in severe damage to the plane's engines, there were no fatalities. That's right. Sully saved saved the day. I remember when that happened. I was getting ready for Barack Obama's inauguration. I was in Washington, D.C. at the time. I was working with a bunch of Secret Service guys, and the TV was on, and this thing came on. It's like, whoa! Stop what we were doing, watch it. Anyway, I remember that day. That was, holy smokes, 16 years ago. Holy smokes! A featured event in 1759, the British Museum opened to the public. That's right. Established by the Act of Parliament in 1753, the British Museum, which counts among the world-renowned antiquities and archaeological holdings, the Elgin marbles and the Rosetta Stone, opened to the public in 1759, with a building full of looted treasures from other countries. And our featured biography, of course, is Martin Luther King. It's Martin Luther King's birthday today. American religious leader and civil rights activist. He was born January 15th, 1929. He would still wouldn't be 100 years old. He would still only be 96 today. And he, of course, died April 4th, 1968, at the age of 39, as he was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Lorraine Hotel. So happy birthday, Martin Luther King Jr. We will celebrate his birthday on Monday by getting a day off.
Hell yeah.
In 1918, Gamal Abdel Nasser, president of Egypt, was born. 1941, Captain Beefheart. If you say it too fast, it sounds like beef fart, which is probably why you did that intentionally. Captain Beefheart American musician and contemporary buddy of Frank Zappa was born in 1941. American boxer Bernard Hopkins was born in 1965. He's turning 60 today. He might still be boxing. Last time I checked, he was still boxing. He's one of those guys who just couldn't retire. Bernard Hopkins, one of the all-time greats. 1979, Drew Brees, American football player, was born. And in 1981, El Hadji Diouf, Senegalese athlete, was born. What days are it today? What days are it? I don't know. Let's find out. Besides National Hat Day, I'm going to put a national hat on. This is my national hat. Not just a regional hat, a national hat. It's National Hat Day. It's also National Strawberry Ice Cream Day. So if you're wearing a hat, you're eating ice cream, we know what you're up to. It's National Bagel Day. National Bagel Day. More food. More food to shove in your gob. And also National Booch Day, which booch is short for kombucha, which is a probiotic tea, which you can drink. Well, it's a probiotic drink. I don't know if you call it tea. They might call it tea in some places. But it's probiotic, and it's after you eat your meal, you need something to help digest it, and that's what you're going to need is kombucha. So those are your days. That's everything for today on January 15th, 2025, on before strawberries and bagels. I'm sorry, strawberry ice cream.
That sounds
bagels.
like an interesting combo. Yeah.
Strawberry ice cream.
All right. This has been.
That's the way I say it.
Yeah, sounds good too.
Anyway,
This has been Al here from the Netherlands, being part of the 90% who doesn't have any money, and and Raj from the West Coast of the U.S. Who we will see you tomorrow for our Thursday 13 episode, where we count down 13 things on the list. We haven't really decided what's on the list until the day of, really. So make sure you get subscribed and you have those notifications on, so you know when we go live, and you can be there to see what interesting list we list off.
Right on.
Maybe you have your own opinions on such things. Make sure to like this video and let us know down in the comments below if you are doing cocaine. I'm just kidding. Don't tell us that. We are not the FBI.
How many rails did you do
FBI,
this morning? Get out of bed.
Yeah, how much crack did you smoke before you got up? And hey, no shame. Like I said, we live in the post-capitalist world. You do whatever you want. That's what the rich people are doing. They're doing whatever they want. Don't let them stop you.
Right.
And this has been...
Every law ever passed is only intended for poor people. Rich people still do what the hell they want. Yeah.
Exactly. So, you do whatever the hell you want. Have a good, wacky, and weird Wednesday. And let's watch our mic drop moment about lead.
That's some facts.
Even small amounts of lead can cause serious
Get
health problems.
educated, especially since we're
Younger
missing
than
those
6 years
IQ,
are especially vulnerable
those
to
IQ
lead
points.
poisoning,
We need to be
and
educated.
it can severely
you know?
affect mental and physical
That's right.
development.
And don't eat the paint, even if
Common
it's
sources of
tasty.
lead include bullets, curtain weights, and fishing
I know that
sandals,
paint is really,
pipes and
really
zinc
special
faucets, which can
flavor,
contaminate
but don't eat
the
it.
drinking water, soil polluted by the
Yeah,
car,
was-
bullets.
that was
Bullets
seriously
are famous
one
for being
thing.
made out of
paint
lead.
sets
lead
and art supplies,
Curtain weights,
Lead
really?
paint.
pottery,
Actually,
and lead figures, and lastly,
had a decent
historic
taste to it,
batteries.
apparently. Not that I
We have
ate
some
any
symptoms.
myself.
For example, joint and muscle pain, headache, high blood pressure,
Don't forget
Wow, there's a
soldering,
lot of
soldering.
things.
problems,
soldering,
Batteries make
irritability,
sense, yeah.
loss of appetite,
Solder
weight
is
loss,
lead in
sluggishness
tin.
and fatigue,
If you do a lot of
abdominal pain,
soldering,
and
you
lastly,
should wear a
vomiting.
mask.
Of course, the terrible thing about lead poisoning
The
symptoms are a
brain
lot of
is
these
the
things
most
can
sensitive
be
organ to lead,
cause
thus
something else,
Attributed
right?
to other
memory
things.
problems,
Yeah.
and in
Attributed to
severe
something
cases,
else. Well, I'm
it can cause
sluggish.
mental
Well,
disabilities in the child.
whatever.
I always have a headache.
In
Do you
severe
drink
cases,
water
such as
every day?
anemia,
No.
seizures,
Okay, I don't
coma,
think it's
That's
lead poisoning.
cocaine.
We have some risk
Yeah, your
factors for
cocaine
the
addict
first
could
one
be
is
masking
age.
your lead
Infants and
poisoning.
young children are more likely to
So,
be exposed to lead
stop
than
the coke.
are
Cocaine
older
habit.
children. They might chew
Stop the
paint that
coke, you
flakes off
stiffheads.
walls and woodwork, and their
Yeah, that's when you
hands
need.
can
I
be
guess that's when you need to
contaminated
start
with
worrying. You
lead
die.
dust.
Oh, the head poisoning.
The second risk factor is living
Yeah,
in
one
an
of your
older
symptoms is
home.
death. Well, you got a
Although the
problem.
use of
Yeah, probably
lead-based
Your
because
dad
children
has
put
paints has
stuff in their
been since
mouths.
Actually, your
Like
other
what my
problem.
kid.
You got
Japanese
more
older
problems
homes
than
Oh,
and
that.
like 2
buildings
paint
often
flakes off the
retain
wall. Let
remnants
us
of
know
this
down in the
paint,
comments below if you
and
chewed
people
paint flakes
renovating
off
an
the
older
wall
home
as a
are at
child.
even higher risk.
No
Yes,
judgment,
and
just
of course, in
curious.
your
Risk
comments
factor
below,
is
we want,
certain
we
hobbies.
want to see your best
For
lead
example,
paint
making stained
recipes.
glass and and some
So
jewelry
that
requires the
comments below.
use of lead
I'm actually not
solder
sure what the
You're
laws
done
on the
incorrect.
paint are in
also
the
refinishing old
European
furniture
Union.
might put you
So.
in
If you're done
contact with layers of lead
all your
paint.
news from Joe Rogan, then
The
yeah.
fourth one
then
is living in
you need
developing
lead.
countries. Developing countries have less strict rules regarding exposure to lead than do
Anyway,
developed
jewelry
countries.
was a big one because it's such a
And
soft
Yeah,
no
metal.
that's
You can melt
scary.
it very
a
multiple, very
child from
soft,
another
low
country
melting
might want to
temperature
have
like
the
gold.
child's
You can
blood
combine
tested
it with other.
for lead
It's easy
poisoning.
to. It's also
And
easy
the first
to
step of treatment is
create alloys
to
with.
locate and remove the source of the
And
lead.
it stops your
We
engine
should
from knocking
keep children
because
away from the source.
they put
If
it in
it cannot be
gasoline
removed, it should be
for that
sealed.
reason. To stop engines from knocking.
A simple blood
It's
test can tell
inside
if
of
you
the
or your child has lead poisoning,
pistons.
and the treatment may involve succimer or EDTA, and these are chelating agents. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you later.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.